here. There we go. Okay. Wonder if I got some sound in here. And I'm going to add some anyway. Peace and love, brothers and sisters of planet Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters here in the United States of America. I am Jonathan Edward Weaver. That was my born name, is my born name. I changed my name through the courts in December of 2020 to Jakir Fortis Bey. However, I've learned that the courts are absolutely 1 trillion% fraudulent, false, fictitious, and corrupt. The courts, the judges, the district attorneys, the clerks, the sheriffs, the police, the presidents, not just this country, but others, the prime ministers, the governors, the mayors, they're all actors. I'm making this presentation because the whistle has been blown by the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge. I'll share my screen with you. See if I can share this screen here. Just a moment as my screen share takes effect. Let's do the entire screen. Let's go ahead and share that. Okay. Now, if you can see my screen, let me go ahead and not shrink that all the way down, but just do a minimize here. I've not practiced with this software, but there's no time for that. This gentleman is the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge. He's also a Plenipotentiary judge, which means he's an educator. He is also the Postmaster-General of our world. His name is Mark Keyshawn Christopher. This man, for the last handful of years, has been blowing the whistle on various global corruptions. He's been giving mankind warnings of great magnitude, and many of us have been asleep to the sounding alarm that's been ringing for some time. I'm making this presentation on the back of several of his most recent presentations and in forecast of a presentation he's doing today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the States. And so he has shared things recently that some people who I've talked to and tried to share with can't fathom to be possibly true. However, as I've done research on the back of things he's shared, done my own research and verify, it is undoubtedly facts that he speaks. Some of my friends have even said, why are you listening to him? He's not even from here. And to that I say, the truth does not care where it comes from. Pardon me. I should say, the facts. Don't care where they come from. So today I'm here to share facts with all of you that I'm sure many of you would not take the time or had not cared to take the time to research yourselves. And if you have the audacity to listen through this presentation, I'm going to share things with you that open eyes can easily see if they choose to look. Now, since I haven't practiced this software, okay, it looks like you guys are seeing my screen there. Behind this gentleman stand two flags. The flag on the left of my screen looks like a U.S. flag, which many of us would think that is because it's got the red and white stripes. It's got the blue field with the white stars. However, this flag is not the U.S. flag. The U.S. flag is a war banner. The U.S. national anthem is a war song. The third stanza of which they don't sing at the ball games because it talks about killing slaves. Most of us didn't know that because we haven't heard the whole song. There's a reason they don't play the whole song for you. Speaking of slavery, the 13th Amendment says that slavery has been abolished in the U.S., but that is unless it's as punishment for a crime. So if you've committed a crime, then you can be a slave. Or if you have a loved one who's committed a crime. Now, you may know, like I know, that some crimes that they hold against you are what's called victimless crimes. You haven't hurt anybody, haven't damaged anyone's property, you haven't committed fraud or mischief in a contract, but someone's policy determines that something is out of line or out of bounds, and they hold that against you as a crime and pursue you to take your freedom, take your finance, and to subjugate you in the form of a slave, which is in large part what this movement is about of theirs. I'll show this to you. Right now, I'm going to put on just a little music. It's a little beat I made on the back of it's the background for my Kobe Bryant song. And I just want to make sure that this isn't too mundane. So I hope that this music isn't overpowering my voice, but I'd like this to not just be a boring share of information, because as we all know, sitting here listening to information, whether you're in class, in a religious service or whatever, a meeting, it can tend to make us kind of sleepy. And since most of us are asleep anyway, here, the last thing we need to be is dozing off at a moment like this. In fact, let me pause the music because there's actually something that I need to share with you all. Pardon me for not thinking of that, for not doing that first. And there it is. As Mark has shared with us, let me take this screen share off. Mark has shared with us on his last video, and over some time, but especially over the last video, that a day of reckoning is approaching. And that's Independence Day, 2022. To help you grasp this, I'm going to share two movie trailers. Okay? Now understand this. Crisis actors are blasted all over the news. Okay? And they're portraying scenes that seem so dramatic and horrible. And we're buying into these hook, line, and sinker. It's pure nonsense. However, the messages that you need to grasp, they place those in the movies as public notice, but they know that the majority of us will have a tendency to write these things off as simply entertainment. I'm going to share two movie trailers with you right now. The first is called Jupiter Ascending. So, a moment here as I share my screen again. Share the screen. And now here I will play the first movie trailer for you.
Something I'm gonna take off for. I might be going an hour or two.
Copy that. Love you, man.
All right.
This movie is called Jupiter Ascending. There's a reason I'm showing you this. And let's go ahead and get into it. Jupiter Ascending, ladies and gentlemen. The movie trailer, this is free source. Oh.
Alexa, lock the front door.
Brilliant. A commercial.
Front door locked.
Apologies, as I had not played this first.
We've been taught that the birthplace of the human race is Earth, but it's not.
Do you know what this will do to people when they find out the truth?
I don't think that most people would want to know the truth.
I do.
We've been told that the birthplace of humanity is Earth, but it's not, he said. She says she thinks that most people would want to know the truth. He said that he doesn't think most people would. And I can tell you unequivocally that as I've tried to share facts and truth with many people, they've opted rather to watch the game, watch CNN, not care about receiving anything that's not already in their head. Anyway, let me not interrupt this longer. Please listen.
Your planet was seeded by brass axe industries roughly 100,000 years ago.
It's one of the most powerful dynasties in the universe.
Yeah, we're gonna take off.
The oldest is Belem. He's the one that controls this planet and wants you dead.
I'm telling you, I'm nobody.
You are royalty.
What about the girl? It's still alive. Bring her to me.
This is take off.
The exact same genes reappear in the exact same order. It is what you call reincarnation.
Her Majesty's life was going to change if she wanted to.
I'm still the same me. Right now, Belem owns the title to Earth. Once you claim it, the Earth will belong to you.
I will harvest that planet tomorrow before I let her take it from me.
Have you ever seen a harvest?
Never. But I've heard they feel no pain.
Now,
Horizon just gave us hologram.
you heard in this trailer, they talked about a harvest. Now, if you see the movie, you'll understand they're talking about a harvest of people and living off of their energy, literally parasites, living off the energy of a populace. I'm going to share another movie trailer with you now of a movie that I saw when I was a boy. And when I say a boy, I mean I must have been 5 or 6. I don't remember much about the details of the movie from then, but I watched it again, Soylent Green. I watched the movie a few weeks ago. The first thing that struck me was the date on this movie that they say, hey, we're making this movie in forecast of this time frame in the future. Okay? Charlton Heston stars in this movie. An actor named Charlton Heston. That's his stage name. He also played Moses in an old movie. There's a movie called Ben-Hur. He was a very prominent actor back in his day. So in this movie, well, I'm gonna let the movie do the talking. But you heard in this Jupiter Ascending trailer that there's a harvest coming. Okay. Next movie trailer, Soylent Green. Let me see if there's a commercial I need to let play real quick. I set all this up last night, and so I'm kind of reopening some pages here, or reactivating some tabs, I should say, that were not already. Okay, so that one's ready. Cool. So let me go ahead and turn the volume up, share my screen for you, and let you hear this movie trailer for the movie Soylent Green from 1973.
Is the secret of Soylent Green. New York City in the year 2022. Nothing runs anymore. Nothing works. But the people are the same. And the people will do anything to get what they need. This is the police. What they need most is Soylent Green. The supply of Soylent Green has been exhausted. Return to your home. What is the secret of Soylent Green? Detective Sergeant Thorne. He has a 2-year backlog of unsolved murders. Now he's on a case that must be solved. Saul Roth, Thorne's private library. Hey, Saul. A living book in a world without books. Have some pencils. Courtesy of your next assignment. Who you are, Simonson? Simonson. He was the first to learn the secret of Soylent Green. They told me to say that they were sorry, but that you had become unreliable. Saul Roth was the next to know. And he chose to die rather than reveal the secret of Soylent Green. What is the secret of Soylent Green? Why did you set up Simonson? I didn't. Sure, officially, she's furniture. She comes with the apartment. She belongs to the tenant. How many times have you been in trouble with the police, Sheriff? Never. Captain Hatcher. First, he wanted this case solved. What do you say? Assassination. Now, he just wants it closed. Who's watching? I am hot. They want this case closed permanently. Fairway, now you sign this. You sign it.
Thorne refuses to close the Simonson case.
Just do what you have to do. Where did you go with Simonson? Get 6 months since my last confession. Charlton Heston, Edward G. Robinson, Chuck Connors, Lee Taylor Young, Brock Peters, Paula Kelly, and Joseph Cotton fight for survival and try to solve the most bizarre riddle ever to face mankind. The search for the secret of Soylent Green. You will find out why Soylent Green means life. You will find out why Soylent Green means death. We gotta stop him! What is the secret of Soylent Green? Please!
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone 13.
So, you may be wondering why I shared that. So, in the first movie trailer, Jupiter Ascending, they shared with you that there's going to be a harvest. In the second trailer, they asked you, after telling you, hey, this is set in the year 2022, that there's something called Soylent Green. There's a big secret about it. If you saw the movie, at the end, you'll understand that the secret to Soylent Green, which is what the people are eating, is that it's made out of people. And at the end of the movie, after he's been shot, he says, people! Soylent Green is made out of people! After he infiltrated the factory like you saw, and saw the bodies on conveyor belts. People are going to get euthanized, like his friend did. And their bodies are being used to be turned into Soylent Green, a food source for people. Now, I'm not saying that this harvest on the way is for, people to eat people. What I am saying, though, is the movies are telling us with messages that some of us may or may not choose to receive as though it's a public notice message, but the messages are in the movies. Meanwhile, the BS is on the news. We buy the news hook, line, and sinker because it feels official. Hey, there's so many people got shot here, there, and there's a guy in a police uniform standing behind a podium, and some lady is doing sign language. Seems so real. Meanwhile, here in the movies, they're telling you in 2022, there's going to be a harvest. Now, I bring this to your attention because of something I noticed a few weeks ago. I'm going to share my screen with you again. And this is something that's going to tie this all in for you as I go into what I really want to share with you in this presentation. This is going to tie it all in and help it make sense to you. If you're seeing my screen right now, you're seeing a picture with some lights at the bottom, and across the sky, there are 4 bright dots in a stair step up and to the right. One here, one here, one there, and one there. On my way to work one morning in Walnut Creek, California, I looked over the eastern horizon and saw these 4 bright dots in the sky. I don't know if I saw any other dots, but I saw these 4. I said to myself, those must be planets. So I went online to earthsky.org. And when I did that, sure enough, there were 4 planets. To the bottom left was Mercury. Then there was Jupiter. Then Saturn. And all the way up and to the right, the top stair, that's Mars. So I took this picture. I got to be just one of a handful of people, I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm not pretty sure, but I speculate, that has a picture with 4 planets in it. 4 extra Earth planets. That made me feel good. A couple weeks later, I thought about, let me take a look in the sky again and see what's going on with these planets. So next picture I took, and I was in an area where there was a lot of surrounding light, a lot of interfering light. So it's not necessarily as clear. But Jupiter, which was all the way down here when I first took this picture, weeks later was now up here. And you can see very faintly right here, Mars. It's like looking almost eye to eye with Mars now, whereas 2.5 weeks earlier, it was so far away. Now it's almost neck and neck with Mars. And then 2 nights ago, I took this picture. I'll zoom that in for you so that you can see that now Jupiter has risen above Mars. Mars is also known as the god of war. And what we've just witnessed, without actually watching it day by day, is Jupiter ascending. Now, to somebody, this might make sense. I'm not sure if you guys are, I guess you guys are seeing my screen good. And I took another picture last night, which I actually, you know what? I believe I sent it to my email. And I'll work on grabbing that for you real quick, compared to the picture I just showed you. Because, again, there was a message in the movie. The movie was called Jupiter Ascending. And when I first saw the 4 planets lined up, it didn't hit me. It wasn't until 2 nights ago that I realized, wait a minute. Jupiter is ascending in our night sky higher and higher and higher. So once I realized that, I said, wow. Not only was there really a message in the movie, but they named the movie the moment that we should be paying attention. Okay? When Jupiter is ascending. So if this makes sense to you, then hopefully you can grasp the things I'm about to show you, because I'm about to prove to you on the back of the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge, Mark Keyshawn, Christopher's blaring messages globally, as he shared things like, there's no war in Ukraine, which I've gone and looked up live video of Ukraine, and he showed the link, shared the links. You can go to skylinewebcams.com and look at live footage from Ukraine. I've also news feeds. Might even pull one up for you. The BBC, making stuff sound all scary. And the whole time, everybody that they interview, all the soldiers on the vessels, nobody's alarmed. There's no combat. We'll get to that. So let's see if I can pull up this picture for you real quick, though. And yes, there we have let me go ahead and share my screen again. Apologies for the moderate pace of my machine. Mabo, it's about to get nuts. So you guys should be able to see my screen here and here now. This might actually look very similar to this picture. Pardon me. But anyway, the point is Jupiter has ascended. Jupiter has ascended from this point, sitting just above the mountains on the horizon, to elevating, ascending higher than Mars here, which we evidence here by this picture, which I took live with my camera. Okay. So this man, Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge, ;Mark Keyshawn, Christopher, has been doing his best to convey messages to us that we need to grasp in short time. So I'll go on now to some greater information. Well, some supporting info. But he has shared with us in his last video the truth about Independence Day, which in this year 2022, as Soylent Green let us know, as far as the year, this Independence Day will be a day of reckoning. And I'm not even saying that I'll make it through whatever's coming next. What I'm saying, though, is the forecast is already in. The time frame was already known by some. And here we are at the cusp of what could possibly be an extinction level event. In one of two ways that I see, based on what my eyes can calculate, based on what's unfolding. And with the help of the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge here, either the good men and women will be the ones who end up in these FEMA camps, or, as he's been trying to share the information to help us do, us good men and women can use our pens and we can sack these fraudulent, corrupt, de facto governments around the world and put those parasites, fraudsters, treasonous liars into the prisons and the gallows. Now, what I'm about to share with you is it's pretty deep. If you have the audacity to stick around and listen in, or even to tune in at all, you're going to see some things here that just might blow your mind. But when Mark says 100% lies, 300% lies, I promise you, that is lowballing it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to slide this out the way. Let me make sure my protective things are in place here. As you guys are seeing my screen, here's a copy of a birth certificate copy of mine that my mother gave me. She ordered it in 1999. As you see the date here, they printed this as June 14th, 1999. I was obviously, as you see here, born in 1977. What do you notice about my name on this document? Well, you should notice that my last name only is in all caps. Okay? Now, my name is not an all caps name. But here's what happened here. And this happened to many of us. I'm going to show you my daughter's birth certificate in a moment, which is even worse. I was not birthed. I was born, just like you were. Every last one of you were born, not birthed. However, if you look down at the bottom of your birth certificate, bottom of the information section, you're going to see another date, the date received by local registrar. On mine, it says 7/25/77. That's 13 days after I was born. This is the date that the boy who was born and given the gift of this name, Jonathan Edward Weaver, this is the date that, this is a cursive name, but it looks like it could say Naomi J. Birch in cursive, which is necromancy, and it's invalid. So this should not be a cursive scribbly signature. This should be an autograph, which is in print with punctuation. We'll talk about that. So whoever signed this woman looks like, or hey, it could be a man, because I can't really see what, hey, it looks like it says Naomi, but I don't necessarily see an O there, right? Who knows what that says? It's in cursive. On this date, the real boy that was born Jonathan Edward Weaver with a capital W and a lowercase EAVER, they took this document, they took his name and put an all caps last name on it, which took me from being the real boy that this woman, my mother Loretta, and this man, my father Charles, brought into this world by way of me being born on July 12, 1977. And they birthed me on this document as this false, artificial, all cap entity on this date. Basically saying, hey, this boy was born on this date and he lived for 13 days. And on this date, he passed away. And now this incorporated name, which is an all caps name, if you go look up McDonald's, Burger King, Microsoft, the United States, look up their paperwork as far as, them being in business, and all their names will be in all caps. Or you can go to a cemetery and look at the gravestones. All the names will be in all caps. An all caps name is a dead name. McDonald's is not alive. It's a dead entity. What gives McDonald's life? What gives McDonald's life are the boys and the girls and the men and the women who go to McDonald's and use their life energy to cook the fries, flip the burgers, unlock the doors, mop the floors, clean the bathroom, take your order, and fulfill your order. That's what gives McDonald's life. If it wasn't for people going to clock in, it would be an empty building with some gold arches on top. Lifeless. That's what they did here. They took me and they took you. So go look at your birth certificate. For some of you, for many of you, it won't simply only be your last name in all caps. It'll be your entire name in all caps. Or maybe you're a junior and they just capitalize the JR. That looks innocent enough, doesn't it? Well, how come the Weaver is all caps? My mom's last name isn't in all caps here. My dad's last name isn't in all caps here. Why is mine? Well, this would have been done to them on their birth certificates, so they don't have to repeat that process for them. But we see that the way my last name is presented here is not uniform with the other last names on the document. Not my mother's, not my father's, not the registrar, not the certifier. Nobody else's last name is on all caps. Only the baby, who they've just turned into a decedent. And if you look up what an infant is a decedent, or the dead creature. I would say person, but a person is not flesh and blood. Person is a corporate word. I learned this some time ago, and Mark has echoed this as well. So, and let me explain something to you about this man and the Federal Postal Court. Their duty is to make sure that anything in writing on planet Earth is correct, so we can bring things to them for them to stop and correct. Okay? So, and he's a global educator, as a plenipotentiary judge, which is why he's been blowing the whistle so that we can see things like this and understand the difference. Now, I've known for some time about what's called the straw man, which is your all caps name. You get something in the mail from your bank, your school, your job, your church, you name it. Prior to very recently, it's going to be in all caps. They're not talking to the living boy or girl that was born. They're talking to the entity that was birthed when they took your handprints and your footprints, and before your feet ever touched the ground, they stamped those things onto a document and they registered your body. Now look here. You got my mom's name here where it says mother, dad's name where it says father. Then there's another line here. This line says informant. What's an informant? Isn't an informant someone who is working for an agency and giving them information? I apologize. I didn't bring my law dictionary up here. I could go get it, but I will after I play another video for you, because I'm going to let you hear from Mark himself. Your mother was an informant. She didn't realize it. Our parents did not get full disclosure about what was happening with these birth certificates, which is why generation after generation, we keep signing up for them. We don't know what it's all about. But basically, by registering my life on paper to this agency, I am now, based on this, owned on paper. And this birth certificate is the receipt for the transaction, which in fact says that on this date, the real boy died, and this entity, this all caps creation, was birthed. The boy that was born is no longer with us as of 7/25/77. This gives rise to the false entity that they created. They incorporated my name. They incorporated your name on paper. And now you don't know that your name in all caps isn't your real name, because it sounds like your name. And when they call it out in court, it feels like you should go walk up there and, give them action of what they're trying to tell you. Now, let me go ahead and move these out the way now, because I had not blocked my parents' information or the bond number on that document before I scanned it, but I blocked it on these. So in 2020, I ordered my birth certificate. Now, they didn't send me what I thought I'd be getting, a long form birth certificate. I thought this was like legit, but I need to reorder a long form birth certificate. Hopefully it gets here in time. So you'll notice that my name now here is no longer in all caps. Well, hey, Michigan, why now have you changed it? Well, what they're trying to do, brothers and sisters, is cover up their fraud. Now listen, I'm not a protected person. So me sharing this with you all could very well mean that I disappear. If that happens, I did my job in sharing with you all the information. They changed my last name from being in all caps to being proper case. Now notice how they spaced out my name so far apart, which actually breaks the continuance of the evidence being more than one space apart. This may not make sense to you, but when you start to learn about document forensics, you understand that continuing the evidence, there's certain parameters and guidelines that things need to stay within. And words that are connected, or names, for example, they should never be more than one space apart. They should be the same font size. Like here, we got State of Michigan. Looks a little bigger than Department of Health and Human Services to me. And we're going to say, hey, well, they had to make this smaller because it's longer to fit in there. Well, this is in bold. That's not in bold. Then there's a whole nother line. Then this is in bold. And you're saying, hey, why does that matter? It matters. Okay. State of Michigan. That matters. That's not even written in mathematically correct grammar, which Mark here will tell you is written in, this is in pronoun, adverb, verb. So state being the word in the front and standing alone is a 4. The of is an adverb, that's a 1. Michigan coming after a 1 is a 2, which is a verb. How is Michigan a verb? How do you Michigan? Show me how you Michigan. I was born there. I don't know how to Michigan. Now, if they come up with a dance called the Michigan, that's going to be funny. But you heard it here first. State of Michigan. Michigan's a verb, and there's no, being that it's at the end, it's a dangling participle verb. I've learned how to syntax, y'all. I've learned how to do document forensics. And I've actually even composed my own style of forensics, which I'm going to show you here in a bit as I show more fraud to you. Now, this doesn't show my parents' social security numbers. But here we see that cursive name that was on the other document, which I can slide up and show you. Naomi J. Birch. Now, there's no print name of that on here, okay? We got a name here that looks in cursive to be Carol V. Getz, but this is all still cursive, necromancy, and subject to interpretation, because this looks like it could be actually like an N turned sideways. Anyway, it says Carol V. Getz here, so we can, instead of having to take the guess out, but this V is abbreviated. That's not her full legal name. And if you're a state official, you're supposed to be using your full legal name. So this V is open to interpretation. Is it Veronica? Is it Virginia? Is it Vanna? Who knows what that means? We don't know. Carol V. Getz. There could be 3 Carol V. Getz, and the V could be different for each one, or it could sound the same and have different spelling. We don't know what that means. Anyway, you see here that my name is no longer all caps at the last name like the previous one was. Check out your own birth certificate. Okay? Now, I'm going to slide down and show you my daughter's birth certificate. State of California. That's a 412. California is a dangling participle verb. How do you California? Is it bathing in the sun? Surfing? Mining for gold? Creating fake maps? We'll get to that. Here's my daughter's birth certificate. Now notice on this one, unlike my birth certificate, the original one that I showed you, where only my last name was the only name, part of a name, of any of the people represented on the certificate that was in all caps. On my updated birth certificate, which is says State of Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, the other one said something different. And you know what? Let me, well, it said something different. Like they changed the name of the department. But here's my daughter. She was born in California. Now notice her entire name is in all caps. Her whole name is in all caps. But then here, so is my name, and so is her mother's name, and so is the birth clerk, and so is the registrar, and so is the doctor. So we're thinking, hey, they just did it in a uniform fashion. What they've done, as my daughter was born on July 7th, 2020, notice here that the date that they're saying, the date accepted for registration, and when you register something, you hand it over to the king. You relinquish ownership of it, and you simply then become a steward of that thing. Whether it's your car, you registered your car, they own your car now. You're a steward of the car, which is why if you don't meet whatever guidelines they're telling you that you need to meet, they take your car from you. Yeah, you said, hey guys, I want you guys to own it. I'll just be a steward. I'll follow all your rules. I'll obey all the street signs. If I don't do that, you can come take my car from me. You've already signed it over. But what they're telling us here is, hey, Jonathan, Emerald, your daughter was born on this date. We're certifying here that the day after she was born, this all caps entity was birthed, and the life of the real girl ended on this date. My daughter's name is not an all caps name. This man has been helping blow the whistle on this as well. Where's my internet at? So, stop this real quick. I want you guys to understand what time we got. Almost noon? Okay, pardon me. This is the beginning of the lies, okay? Now, I'm about to show you guys 1,000,000,000% proof that the judges, attorneys, politicians, they're all corrupt. And they're all fraudulently in their positions. So let me close this birth certificate document. You guys seen that? So basically what they've done is they've taken me and you and my daughter and your children, and on paper, on these birth certificates, which say we're dead, they turned us from being the real boys and girls that were born to Pinocchio versions of ourselves. What was Pinocchio's biggest hope, his biggest dream? He just wanted to be a real boy. I was born a real boy, but on paper, all my life, I've been taking around a birth certificate and a driver license and a passport and a social security card and so many different pieces of information that say my name is an all caps name. And most of my life, I've been oblivious. And most of you have been and are oblivious to this. Now, let me streamline here because I got a lot of things to share, and I see here the time is pushing on. What's up, Dave? So, I'm gonna close these birth certificates. You guys see the fraud there, okay? Now, I'm gonna move on to next. First, I'm gonna show you a resource here. Let me share my screen. And now I'm gonna put a little music on just to break the monotony here. I do own the rights to this music, so don't let that get you down. Now, okay, let me touch some of these because I see here I gotta kind of reactivate some of these pages. You guys seen those? That's Mark, and he'll talk here in a moment. And I can close this. And this is, close that too. Thanks for your patience. Yeah. Okay. So this is Mark's website. There's so much information here. And one thing I want to show you from this website is this document. It's a Treasury certificate. I actually have it sitting here. I'll get to that in a moment. And this document as well. This document tells us that we're all considered lost souls baptized at sea. So that date on your registrar, where your registrar dated it, that's the date that your soul got baptized and lost at sea, and your all-caps name was birthed. Your dead name, your nom de guerre, your wartime name, all the above, was birthed. Okay? I want to point out to you that you should come to this website, mkchristopher.com. Go to resources, sign in, and start digging around here and come to all these open source documents. Start reading, learning. There's a lot here that we need to know, and they're not going to give us in school. This document I want to bring to your attention real quick. You may have never heard of the Committee of 300. These are AKA the Olympians. In the movies, they portray the Olympians as gods. They're really men and women posing as gods. They got large bank accounts. I'm going to show some of these to you. I'm going to show you the Queen of England, who calls herself Elizabeth II. That's not her real name. So she's impersonating an officer or an official as well. Let's slide down. This document, care of Mark, came from the UN mailroom. As a federal postal court judge, he's able to get his hands on stuff that we can't. The United Nations organization is part of this. The International Court of Justice is part of this. International Criminal Court, the World Bank Group, the Financial Action Task Force. The origin of these hedge funds came from King Bernardo Carpio during the early times for the Philippine Islands, where some natives from Malaysia, Indonesia, Mongolia, China, Arab, India, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, and other Asian natives, including some natives from Eastern Russia. It is but uncommon that the Philippine Islands, as some legends spoken, that it is the land of incant spirits or land of spiritual fairies, blah, blah, blah. We're going to get down to some meat and potatoes. General party information. Let me expand this some. So, name of signatory, trustee, keeper, holder, Anthony Santiago Martin. That says it's his genuine name. His code name is ASM. Those are like his initials, no periods. His code name, C3AM, C3-AM-01, or White Spiritual Boy, Spiritual Wonder Boy, Morning Star. Have you ever heard in the Bible that the J guy is known as the first and morning star? King David. Oh, King David. Prophet Muhammad. Demas and Saint Timothy. Got you. It shows UN passport number here. A White Mongolian account, name of originating accounts. White Mongolian account, King Bernardo Carpio. White Vatican account, Dr. Jose Rizal. Kiram account, Antonio Diaz Santiago. Family origin of King ASM. So Anthony Santiago Martin, is it King ASM? All right, let's get down some meat and potatoes. Like, you can go find this document and look through it all yourself. There's some particular things I want to show you, okay? They got North and South American continents, accounts, different account numbers, but let's get down to some real eye-popping stuff here, okay? Now, I went through this, and I actually marked off some accounts. I got the physical. I printed this out. This is some Filipino dialogue up here. So it's basically a will and testament. Now, here are bank accounts. Committee of 300, they got some big bank accounts, y'all. Okay? AKA the Olympians, the people with the corporations and the religions and the different things that we invest our energy and time and money into, and taxes, all kind of stuff. All right, these are small numbers here. $1 trillion, that's nothing. Okay? I'm going to show you what this is going to prove to you, this part, that hunger, famine, lack of anywhere on planet Earth is 100%, trillion% lie. This document right here. I'm going to break it down. So look, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 zeros come after this 100. What's 100 with 18 zeros behind it? Actually, you know, this is talking about metric tons of some other stuff. Let's get down to the money. Okay. Here's the money. $200 billion is a drop in the bucket. Okay. Here's 500 billion. So that's nothing. There's nothing, y'all. Let's slide down here. There's going to be some accounts that really blow your mind. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 zeros behind the 900. So that's 900,000, 900 million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, fintillion. $900 fintillion in this one account alone. Now look, we got pages and pages of accounts, okay? $900 fintillion is child's play. You're gonna see some stuff that's gonna blow your mind here in a minute. Look at this. 700 billion, that's nothing. We just went to 900 fintillion. What are you talking about? 50 billion? No, listen, man. I'm going to show you guys some stuff that's going to prove to you that every man and woman on planet Earth could be very well off. And the reason we're not is because these people These people want to keep hunger, famine, and pestilence alive, and you're going to understand the reason why they're vilifying Putin in the news here shortly. Okay? So let me get down to some of these nitty-gritty accounts that I really want you to see. All right? Now, look, we passing 70 billion. 70 billion is nothing. Like, I'm going to scroll past this all day. There's 70 trillion. Okay? So look, here's a 900 with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 zeros. All right? Behind the 900. 900,000, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, fintillion. 900 fintillion. That's another one. Okay? That's nothing. Nothing. There's another 900 fintillion. I'm naming accounts here few and far between. Okay? Now, here's something that you want to check out. All right? We have Central Bank of Great Britain. Account number, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, worth 900 with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45, 48, 51, 54, 57 zeros behind it. What's 900 with 57 zeros behind it? How many dollars is that? I don't know. Here's what I do know. That when you multiply numbers that have zeros on the backs of them, you just add the zeros and that'll give you your product. Okay? So, imagine there are 9 billion people on planet Earth, 9 million souls. That's highballing it. They say we're give or take around 8 billion. From some years ago, we reached 8 billion. So let's highball it. 9 billion people on planet Earth. 9 billion. That's a 9 with 9 zeros behind it. I'm sorry. Is that 12 zeros? Well, let's look at it here. We got this number, 9 with 900 with 3. That's 100,000. That's 900 million. That's 900 billion. So yeah, 900 with 9 zeros behind it is $900 billion. Right? But we're saying 9 billion people. So we got instead of a 900, it'll just be a 9 with a comma. And then 9 more zeros. 9 billion. That many people times 10, let's say 100. 100 trillion. 9 billion people to get $10 trillion a piece. 100 trillion. Let me write this down because I worked it out on the paper already. I don't have that next to me. But we're going to take 9 billion, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 zeros. 9 with 9 zeros is 9 billion. So we're highballing this. Times 100 trillion. So 100 with a comma. 3, 6, 9, 12 zeros. This is probably going to be backwards for you. But we got 900 billion times 100 trillion. I'm going to add these zeros up. I'm going to put the 9 in front. And then we have 1, 2, 3. We got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23 zeros. I'm going to start from the back. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm running out of room. 1, 2, 3. And there it is. So 900 with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. If we got, no, I said 23. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 23. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Pardon me. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22. 900 with 23 zeros behind it. Every last woman and man and boy and girl on planet Earth could have $100 trillion apiece. Let's count these zeros. 900 with 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, We got extra zero. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24 zeros, not 23. So look now, we got the 900. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. That still leaves 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33 zeros. Every man and woman, boy and girl on planet Earth could each have $100 trillion to their names, and this one account would still have a number with 33 zeros behind it. Now, that doesn't even mention this account here with the 500,000 metric tons of gold with infinity dollars. You see this infinity sign behind the dollar symbol? Dollars infinity. This one account, ladies and gentlemen, this one account can make sure that everybody on the planet has food, has clothes, has whatever they want, whatever you want. It doesn't matter what it is. And if it doesn't exist, you have the kind of finance behind you that you could manifest it and bring it into fruition. This is one account, folks. One account. Now I can keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling. But I don't need to scroll through any more accounts. We saw that's one account. And there's other accounts that have infinity symbols. But look at all these accounts with billions and trillions and numbers we can't even speak of dollars. I'm just scrolling through accounts, y'all. The Committee of 300. Putin was a part of this group. He left this group. And so now they're vilifying him in the news. Look at this number. There's 800. That account earlier with them, 57 zeros was nothing. Look at this account. This Switzerland Spiritual Wonder Boy account, King David account from Antonio Diaz Santiago. There's 800 here with 3, 6, 9, 12. Look, it's got basically 2 2/3 rows of zeros. I'm not even gonna count all the zeros. But if the other account was enough to give everybody 100 trillion and still have 33 zeros left, this account, you could take that whole account and give everybody that many dollars and still have like a row of zeros left here. At least a whole row. So they got us twisted here. Putin has set up thousands of free ports around the planet so people can ship and receive things of that nature without paying exorbitant raping costs. So they're vilifying him. That's what there's no war in the Ukraine. That's been proven. Now, this certificate of live birth of the guy whose name was on the front up there. I don't recall what his name was. And it's a little blacked out. It's a little faded here. But notice what you see at the bottom here. Certified authentic by HM. I think that means Her Majesty, but abbreviations are open for interpretation. Certified authentic by Elizabeth. This is what it was supposed to say, but it says Queen Elizabeth II, which is not her name. She is the chairman of the Committee of 300. Okay, now here's what's happening, folks. The Queen is coming to Canada to participate in what's called the Platinum Jubilee. In this Platinum Jubilee, she will be basically taking, as it's being given, forgiveness of her debt to society. She and her committee, they've been living off our credits. We're the creditors. We, the people, are the creditors. We're the creditors. Not Elizabeth, not the Committee of 300. We're the creditors. And all these dollars you see here have been basically sucked off of us. Now that's my interpretation of the situation. or at least my understanding. But Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth II, that's not her name. This is what's called a legal fiction. Okay? So, we see here that what we think is going on and what's really going on. Thanks to Mark Keyshawn Christopher, Mark Keyshawn Christopher, for sharing that document with us. I'm going to close that out now. You guys can go to his website. You can look that up, read through it, and you can look through a whole bunch of other stuff at mkchristopher.com. Speaking of which, I'm going to let Mark talk now. I'm going to close the Jupiter Ascending trailer. I'm going to close the Soylent Green trailer. And these are an important few minutes that you need to hear from the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge himself, which is going to lead into my next share. Listen up.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Who really are your presidents, prime ministers? This is going to be a walkthrough exercise for all of you watching. What that means is that I'm just going to walk you through one particular country, a prime minister or president in one particular country. And for every country that you folks, my audience, is out there, you're going to do it parallel with me. So I'm going to use the US president, not USA president, but US president, United States president. You, if you're in the UK, England, United Kingdom, you're going to look up prime minister. If you're in Africa, the country, you're going to look it up. And through that, I'm going to walk you through how you think the presidents that you see or the runner-ups or runner-downs on television are actually the big people that are going to take some sort of a meaningful office. And I'm going to talk you through it. I have done some. Say 200 countries.
Mabo, is it still hard to hear?
I don't think there are 300 countries, but
Thank you.
Understand what I'm saying. Let's go to the live presentation.
How about now? Can you hear now?
I am going to be dealing with the United States president, which all of yous in the past 2 years or so have come to know as Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the one that stands on the platform, and he is running for President of United.
Since the volume was low, I'm going to skip this back.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. USA president, but US president, United States president. If you're in the UK, England, or United Kingdom, you're going to look up Prime Minister. If you're in Africa, the country, you're going to look it up. And through that, I'm going to walk you through how you think the presidents that you see, or the runner-ups or the runner-downs on television, are actually the big people that are going to take some sort of a meaningful office. You are not. And I'm going to talk you through, and I have done something similar to this a few months ago, okay? But I forgot to do the audience participation. So if you're in India, open up who is the Prime Minister in your country in India. If you're in Africa, say Nigeria, open up the Wikipedia page for your president. And if it's in Israel, you have president and a prime minister. Open up their Wikipedia page, and I'll show you really who is who, okay, on the back of a president in the US. And the reason why I'm doing this is to let you folks know that this mechanism that I'm going to expose, this mechanism that I'm going to show you, is identical in virtually every country in the world. I say virtually because I don't know every single country. So, for the majority of the country, say 200 countries, 300 even. I don't think there are 300 countries, but you understand what I'm saying. Full stop. Let's go to the live presentation. I am going to be dealing with the United States president, which all of you in the past 2 years or so have come to know as Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the one that stands on the platform, and he is running for President of United States, not United States of America. He never did. You can see that there. Okay? President of United States. What does it say? Does it say President of the United States of America, which is what you folks out there in the US or the Americas USA know being what it is? But quite clearly, this person, and he is a person, which means it's a persona, an actor, is Joe Biden, who sits in a acting position called the President of the United States, not United States of America. You've got to find out in your own prospective countries, just by opening up the Wikipedia page for that country, to go and see what their actual real name is. Okay? So you can see, the president we proceeded from Barack Obama. That's an actor. And that's abbreviation. Yeah. So let's find out what his real name is. Perez. Those are his parents. What other names does he have? Let's have a look at it. So we've got this name here, Joseph Robinette Biden, Senior. And then we have the junior, okay, abbreviated. You must spell out the whole name with a J-U, okay, not just abbreviated. Because abbreviations are open for interpretation, and they're not that universal. So, you now understand that this guy called Joseph, with that wonderful name, Robinette, which I think is a Jewish name, Biden, Junior with a J-R, as opposed to spelling it all out, which would mean junior minor. That's junior minor senior. Is not ever, never, ever did he ever appear on your television screens or in the newspapers or was ever interviewed with this full name. this man, let me see, I'll just increase the sizes a little bit too much, I think. I tend to overdo it with the magnification. So let me just recap. Okay, this man, you see, he's born. Doesn't say birth, born. Okay, which means he is on the land, and the law of the land is what he sits on. You see this? What does it say? Okay, you read it out yourself. Now go to your own president or prime minister of your own country and do exactly the same thing. Okay, you have a birth certificate, he was born. Doesn't say birth. And I'll come on to these things later. So I'm now going to pose this as a question. If you was a corporate instrument like McDonald's or anything on the stock market, and you wanted this thing called Joe Biden to do your bidding, would you write to Joe Biden or would you write to this man here, Joseph Biden Jr.? Who would you write to? What's the answer? Remember, everything's a geometric level plane. So we know that this is an actor, Joe Biden. And the purpose of an actor called Joe Biden is to create what's known as statutes and rules for the conduct of other actors. Everything in a corporation is an actor, is an act. So the corporation, anything in the stock market or any other corporation, would write to him and petition him as a corporate instrument to do his bidding, okay, as one corporate to another. When this happens, the actor can hear the other actor, but the actor doesn't need to do anything because United States is one corporation and another corporation is the corporation that he's writing to. If McDonald's writes to Burger King and says, hey, don't sell your beef burgers at that price and do this and that, what do you think Burger King is going to say? F off. You know, in a simple language. You guys understand this? Okay, you understand that. Now, if you as a living man or woman wanted to write to him as the President of the United States of America, as you being an electorate and him being in a position to perform acts, how would you write to him? Would you write to him with this name? Or would you write to him, Joe Biden? You would write to him in this name, Joseph. Why? Because a corporation cannot speak to a man. Yeah, this is the man, this is the corporation. But a corporation can speak to one another. And if they have disputes, they go into the Admiralty Court, which is the Court of Mirrors. If you as a man wrote to him as another man and instruct him as to how a corporation would conduct itself, like McDonald's or something like that, and you give him the instructions as one man to another, and then instruct him in his public capacity, which is his acting name, to perform your wishes, do you think you will be able to do that? Do you think you will have results? What's the answer? The answer is yes. Now, when you do write to him, this man here, okay, under his born name, when you write to him, are you going to write to him? Let's imagine your name is Marcus Jean Christopher. Are you going to write to him Marcus Jean Christopher? Or are you going to write to him MK Christopher? Or are you going to write to him in any other different names? The answer is that you write to him with your birth name. With your birth name. And you don't necessarily need to use what is called your surname. You can use your family name. Your family name is what you and I think of as being your surname, but they're not. They're two different jurisdictions. Surname means that it's essentially soured by a father. Your family name is the service that you provide to your clan. You can call it a clan name, or if you're a Christian or a person of a belief, so a man or woman of belief or of faith, you will call it your Christian name or your Islamic name or your tribal name, or whatever it is. But if you want to speak to him as yourself, you just use your first names, even your first name or your first two names. It's more than sufficient. Okay. Now, the reason why I am doing this is I have to, as a plenipotentiary judge, to educate you sufficiently to be able to take control of your government for this corona period, which is what your government is waiting and asking you to do. This includes all the turmoil that is in Australia. They're basically saying, if you don't tell us what to do or how to do it, what your wishes are, we're just going to, go ahead and do what we need to do, because when we can't hear you, you're talking to us, your servants, as if we're your masters. We're your servants, so talk to us as your servants. So they have so much troubles in Australia with the military on the ground, with threats of false vaccines and so on and so forth. But apart from a few people in Australia that are my students, as well as the judge, the Federal Postal Court Judge Hugh, spelled with a H, what does he do? He picks up his pen and instructs his government what to do. And what happens? They do what he tells them to do. You understand this? How can your servants give you a job? How can your servants veto you wanting to take or not to take a vaccine? You can't. You are confusing your servants for your masters and your masters for your servants. You have no master. You are the master of your government. You understand this. And I'm giving you the bureaucratic mechanism, or be it what is known as the knowledge that a Postmaster General has to use the postal mechanism to make your instructions available and hearable to your servants. When you see so many of these comedy sketches and some of these very serious movies, how do you ever see the master speak to the butler? He doesn't speak to him as a servant or a dismissive. He speaks to him man on man so he can go and perform his duties.
Okay. For those who are listening, thank you. I'm going to stop that now. So I shared this with you so you can hear from the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge himself, before I get into what I got to share with you, that the public officials, they're supposed to be standing behind their full, true, legal names. What I'm about to show you is how none of them are doing that. Their names that they're standing behind are not their true, full legal names, which are also not the name on their bond, which is also not the name on their oath of office. I'm going to show you how this whole corruption unfolds right now. Let's see here. First, okay, we got you guys that. So, this is the California Supreme Court panel of judges. Now, every attorney must register with the state bar. Here we have calbar.ca.gov, the state bar website for California. So let's go to these judges and let's look up their names. Now, her name is Tani Gori Cantil Sakaye. I'm going to copy that. Let's come here. Let's put that in. See what we get. It's going to be a slight variation that most of us are willing to accept. Doesn't think much of. Here it comes. Just a moment. Is my screen share still on, or did I turn it off? I didn't. Okay, my bad. Let me put the screen share back on. Okay. California courts.ca, courts.ca.gov. These are the California courts website. This is the California Supreme Court judge panel. Here are their profiles. There's a guy that he wasn't in the picture upstairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, there's 7 people here, but this dude isn't one of them. He must be supposed to be sitting where this guy is, because he's not down here either. Anyway, the Chief Justice, Tani Gori Cantil-Sakalye, I just took her name, copied it into the attorney search here. And here is how it has her. Now, peep game, okay? Tani Gori Cantil-Sakalye is how her name is. That's the proper order of the components of her name. In the state bar, they swap the last name out in front. Now, if you do that to my name, then you'd be saying, to my born name, you'd be saying Weaver Jonathan Edward. My name's not Weaver Jonathan Edward. That's not my name. If you say, hey, Weaver Jonathan Edward, now, under presumption and assumption, I might say, hey, he must be talking to me. But as we just heard from the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge, you're supposed to use your full legal name, and your full legal name has an order of operations, okay? And it's supposed to go in that order. So when they list everyone's names here under last name first and then first middle, that's breaking the continuance of the evidence, okay? Now, it gets deeper than that. So let's go to the next justice, Carol A. Corrigan. Now, and let's check out Sakalye. Just understand here, this is her attorney bar number. Says she's a judge now, obviously. And she was admitted into the California State Bar December of 1984. Now, I'm going to put the next lady's name in here, Carol A. Corrigan. She's presiding over courts and hearings as Carol A. Corrigan, the Honorable, she says. Carol A. Corrigan. Her bar number says Carol, or it says Corrigan, Carol A. Now, when you go to the courtroom and see her name up on the wall, is it going to say Corrigan, Carol A? Or is it going to say Carol A. Corrigan? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, this doesn't make a difference. What we're experiencing here, folks, is called a colorable alteration. And I can read from you here from the Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. Now, the fact that it's called Black's Law Dictionary, black is a term of color. And when you color something, you distinguish it from reality. We can get into that. But it explains here that a colorable alteration is one which is an appearance, one which makes no real or substantial change, but is introduced only as a subterfuge. It goes on to say, or means of evading the patent or copyright law. But what we have here is a colorable alteration. When you put the last name in the front, it doesn't seem to make a substantial change. Like the same name components are still present. It's in the wrong order. It's a colorable alteration. It's meant to hide something from you. Okay. Now let's check out Goodwin H. Liu. Okay, because it's going to start to get a little trickier as we go along. Because Goodwin H. Liu, it says Liu Goodwin Han. Is that short for honorable, or is his middle name Han. But either way, they put the last name first. So no matter what, if we have last name first and then first and middle follow, we don't have first, middle, last order. We have colorable alteration. Now, he's presiding over courts as Goodwin H. Liu. But Goodwin H. Liu is not in the bar. Goodwin Han Liu is. Remember, as Mark just explained here in this video, abbreviations are subject to interpretation. So, as he's presiding over the court, is that Goodwin Henry Liu? Goodwin Harry Liu? Goodwin Homie Liu? We don't know. What we do know is that the Bar Association has a Liu Goodwin Han registered there with bar number 200-745 since May of 1999. I don't see a Goodwin H. Liu in here, or even a Liu Goodwin H, which would still be, again, colorable alteration. We're not done. The Honorable Leandra R. Kruger. You're going to find out how much honor these people lack, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, and why Mark is saying we need to sack the de facto government, okay? Now, let's go here. It says Leandra R. Kruger. Well, there's a Leandra Reed Kruger. I'm sorry. There's a Kruger Leandra Reed, which we could assumptively swap around, presumptively, or we can just say, hey, for some reason, they're not putting her name in the proper order here. And I know what you're thinking. Well, some people may be thinking, well, they did that to alphabetize. Well, does your first name start with a number? No. So you can alphabetize by first name. If I'm in a room with 20 other Jonathans, and there's Jonathan Adams, Jonathan Brown, Jonathan Green, shout out, Jonathan Lang, Jonathan Martin, Jonathan Newsom, all the way down to Jonathan Weaver, we still just alphabetize these in proper name order. Now, I didn't mention middles, but understand, we don't need to use last names for alphabetizing, okay? So, but Leandra R. Kruger is the persona that this woman is using to sit over court hearings and act like the person, because this is also a persona, name switched around, who has this bar number since March 2002. She's using an assumed name. This guy, Josh Groban. Now remember, Mark said the same thing is happening around the world. What does it say here? Joshua P. Groban. Is that Paul? Is it Perry? Is it Pocahontas? What's the P stand for here? Honorable guy? We don't know. Initials are subject to interpretation. The Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge just told you himself. These aren't my words. So Groban Joshua Paul has a bar number since December 1988. Joshua P. Groban does not. This man is acting as a judge. Martin J. Jenkins. What you doing up there? What's your name looking like on the record? It's looking like Jenkins Martin Joseph. I don't see a Joseph in this name anywhere. There's no Joseph there. That could be a Joseph if I was to presume and assume. But that could be a Jason, a Johnson, a Joey. Is open to interpretation. So the name that is associated with this bar number since May of 1981 that says Jenkins Martin Joseph, if that's supposed to be this guy, then on this website it shows that he's acting as Martin J. Jenkins, which is a different entity than Jenkins Mark Joseph. Just like my name in all caps is a different entity than my name with just capitalized segments. And so forth and so on. Okay? Now, you've seen how these judges do this. I'm going to show you some paperwork now that is going to show you even greater fraud and make it even more distinguishable for you. Because right now you may be saying, hey, the last name's first. Why does that matter? You know, he uses initial, not his whole middle name. Why does that matter? Well, the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge just let you know that Joe Biden ain't that man's real name. And he's supposed to be using his full legal name. Even the junior should be spelled out Junior. Putting a JR leaves it subject to interpretation. And he says they're not that universal, the abbreviations. Okay? So now I'm going to show you here documentation of my own. Now, these people, they tried me. Okay? They tried me. Let me pull up my situation here and help you understand where this all came from. All right. Now, this comes from a court case. I was in Texas. Now I live in California, and up until relatively recently, I've partaken in cannabis for some time. I had cannabis in Texas, and apparently Texas says that's not cool, even though California says whether it's medical, whether it's recreational, we're okay with that. Texas says it doesn't matter that you're a Californian, you're in Texas. So a sheriff deputy stopped me and took me to jail for a few hours and took my little bit of cannabis that I had. And, I don't live in Texas. So, I gave them a mailing address, and they were supposed to mail something to the address to let me know, correspondence to let me know if there's a court date. Now, this does not, my court case doesn't have to, I'm sharing this with you only because I'm giving you the introduction to why this even became something that I would look into. Okay. So that was in August last year. In January this year, I called the court, because I had no mail or no report of any mail that had been sent to me regarding this case. So I called them like, hey, what's up with this case? Is there a court date? Has it been dismissed? They said, oh, you missed court. There's a warrant for your arrest. Okay, well, aren't you guys, you're supposed to inform me of a court date before I'm supposed to be notified. If you haven't given me notice, then, you can't say that I knew, because I didn't. They said, well, we mailed something out. She confirmed I told her the address. She said they mailed something out, and that's all they had to do with it. They're not recalling the warrant. So I was pretty disgusted. Now, a couple months later, I called back and I said, hey, listen, I still haven't got anything in the mail from you guys. So I repeated the address to her, and she said, oh, hey, it looks like we sent that to the wrong address. So she goes and talks to the judge's assistant, who talks to the judge. They recall the warrant. Now the judge gets on the phone with me because he wants to talk about rescheduling the court date. I told him, I'm not going to be in Texas for a while, and I'm not. So they want me to do it over Zoom. I don't want to do it over Zoom. I'd rather be face-to-face if I'm going to be in court. So I asked him, I said, listen, I need something in writing to show me that this warrant's been recalled. So if it's late getting put in the system to reach all the way out here, I can have something in writing showing any police person or any law enforcement that the warrant that they may see in their system has been recalled. He said, I'll send you a letter. He sent me this letter, and ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, from the moment I looked at it, I saw fraud, fraud, fraud. Now, anybody listen, anybody paying attention, tell me if you can see anywhere on this letter a court name, court letterhead, I don't see court anywhere. And look what he says here at the end. Well, let's read the whole thing. First, we got April 18, 2022. Cause number, cause #, 39877. Current warrant issued for the arrest of Jonathan Edward Weaver. My name in proper case, it's capitalized, not all caps, but capitalized. On this charge, as indicated above, I don't see a charge anywhere. I see a cause. It didn't say cause, it says charge. Is hereby withdrawn, including the established bond amount on said warrant. Okay. So there's no charge on here. Said warrant is hereby withdrawn. Said warrant. Now, he says, John C. Bullock says, witness my hand and the seal of said court this 18th day of April, 2022. Now, here's what I'm going to share with you guys. Okay. Number one, there's no seal anywhere on this document. Witness my hand and the seal of said court. Well, where'd you say a court at? I don't see a said court anywhere on here. Let's look at the clerk stamp. Let me zoom this in. Is there a court named here? No. And now let me show you this. The inconsistency. Okay. Number one, his name is up here in all caps. Down here, it's not in all caps. That's different. They're both bold, but one's all caps and one is capitalized. Up here it says County Judge, Young County. Down here it says Young County Judge. That's two different things. Here we see April 18, 2022. Then it says 18th day of April, 2022. That's a different representation of the same piece of information, but it's not consistent. It breaks the continuation of the evidence. Then we come down here, and this says APR 1/8/2022. Now remember, abbreviations are subject to interpretation. We can assume that this means April and presume that, okay? But either way, even if we say, okay, fine, this is April 18, 2022. It looks one way here, it looks one way here, and it looks one way there. The county clerk has her name in all caps. That's not the name of a living flesh and blood man or woman, okay? Then we got Young County, Texas in all caps. As we have it up there, this is all caps and bold. That's not bold. So we have John C. Bullock name looking 4 different ways on here. I'm going to show them to you. All caps bold, capitalized bold, cursive, and initialized first initial, not his first name, his first initial. And this is a signature, not an autograph. It's scribbly. This is void. And then here we got J. Bullock. There's no C on that. There's no John. So 1, 2, 3, 4 representations of the same name. Okay. This is breaking the continuance of the evidence, and this is fraud, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now let me go to, I'm going to minimize this because I've got some places where I've actually done the forensics on the documents, and I want you guys to see those. Let me hide that. Bam. So here we see JCB1 means, hey, John C. Bullock, the first appearance of his name. Here's what I'm calling JCB2. JCB3 is here, third appearance. There's JCB4. Now what I realize I'm supposed to do is put on the document a cipher to show what these things mean. What I did instead, prior to doing that, is I set up a spreadsheet which shows all these things. Okay, now let's see if I can get some action out of my mouse here. Okay, so Now, there's more to this. Matter of fact, let's just get to it. Let's get to the more, okay? Because I'm going to show you the absolute fraud, okay? So on this document alone, we have 4 ways his name shows up. Now, here's his oath of office. What you need to know, if you don't already, is the 4 corners rule. Anything in a 4-corner box area is void content. It's like it's not even on the page. So none of this is valid anyway. It's like it's not even there. However, the fact that we're looking at stuff printed on paper with eyes that see things at face value, I'm going to go through it anyway with you. Now, you see his name is in all caps here. This is supposed to be his oath or affirmation. Young County Judge. I, John C. Bullock. Now, this is an all caps name. That's a dead name. Remember they put the all caps on my last name? Registrar date, 13 days after I was born. They said I was birthed, which actually means that that's when they consider me a Pinocchio or a dead entity. So for this to be a man talking here, this should say capital J, lowercase o-h-n. He's supposed to use his full legal name because this C is open to interpretation. Could be Curtis, Carl, Cholo, who knows what. Capital B and lowercase rest of his name. So this is McDonald's talking. This is not a man talking. And if we slide down here, and a lot of this other stuff I can get into, but I'm trying to cut time. I've been in here a while anyway, but I'm showing you guys fraud they're committing against all of us. Now here is a 5th variation of his name. The scribbly first initial, second initial, scribbly last name. That's the 4th version that we saw on the previous page. Here's the 5th version now. His name, middle initial, C period, last name, italicized. It wasn't italicized on the first page anywhere. That's not italics. That's not italics. That's not italics. This is cursive, which is like the next best thing. But here it's italicized. That's the 5th way. Now, when I was on the phone with him, I asked him about his bond. Every public official is supposed to have an oath of office and a bond, whether it's he called his a performance bond. Could be a performance bond, an indemnity bond, some kind of a bond they're supposed to have in place on record to basically insure them against doing a bad job. Now look at the 7th way. Pardon me. Where's 7? Okay, we got the 7th way. The 6th will be somewhere. The 7th way his name shows up. Now, what do you notice here about this name? Let me go back and show you these other couple real quick, okay? We have a version here. First name, middle initial, last name. We got a version here. First name, middle initial, last name. This one's italicized. This one's all caps and bold. Let me come up here. We got capitalized, not all caps, but capitalized in bold. First, middle initial, last name. Then we got all caps bold again. First, middle initial, last name. Now, all these ones have something in common that this one does not. What is that? On his bond, which is supposed to financially back him doing his job right. Well, there's no period after the C on this one. They happen to leave that out. What does that mean? A couple of things. Number one, that means this is another colorable alteration. Doesn't seem to be a substantial difference, but it's meant to conceal something from you. Okay? So these people, these parasites, want to be able to siphon life and energy and finance out of your life without having the responsibility. And when they change the way their names appear on the documents that are supposed to be valid and backing them, it removes them from the position of having to be liable or responsible for these things. Okay? So I just showed you 5 different ways John C. Period's name showed up. There's a sixth way as well, but this is the seventh way. I'm going to show you the sixth way when I find it. It's on here. Matter of fact, you know what? It's on the front forensics. I can tell you right where it's at. John C. Bullock, J.C. Buddock on the Babcock oath. Okay, on the sheriff's oath of office is going to be the fifth way. And we get into that. Okay. So his bond, John C. Bullock, has a bond. There's no full middle name here. There's no full legal name, so it's void anyway. But there's no period. So this John C. Bullock ain't connected to any other John C. Bullock. And this one is a John C. Bullock capitalized. It's not bold. So the other one where we saw where it was bold, it doesn't match those either. Okay. Now, let's scroll on down. Here's an eighth way it appears. John C. No period Bullock. But look at these letters. Let's zoom in. I'm sorry, I'm trying to zoom in. This is the next best thing to chicken scratch. And chicken scratch, it doesn't fly. It's not valid. And then we got M. Bent. Who is M. Bent? A notary public, South Dakota. There's no notary commission number. There's nothing. Okay, hey, my commission expires March 2nd, 2020. Cool. What's your notary number? Isn't there supposed to be something identifying who you are as a notary? There's nothing here. And this first name is subject to interpretation. This bond is completely invalid, which is why when I asked him for it over the phone, he got testy. And when they sent me the bond, they didn't send this page at first, which shows me that, hey, there's even more positions that are supposed to have bonds. The district attorney, the county judge, county clerk, deputy county clerks, county, I can't hardly see what that says. County assessor. I can't tell what that says. County treasurer, district clerk, deputy district clerk, county school superintendent, county surveyor, deputy county surveyor. The sheriff has to have a bond. Yeah. County assessor, collector, or more people. County commissioner, justice of the peace, constables, county public weigher and deputies, state public weigher. All these people need to have bonds, which is why when I start calling them and asking them for all these people's oaths and bonds, they didn't want to send me these 2 pages because they knew I would be calling and asking for more people's oaths and bonds. So here is another page. Power of attorney, John C. Bullock, no middle initial. Okay. Robert D. Dial is apparently the Justice of the Peace, PCT1. Robert D. Dial, D. Dial. Now, the administrating official for this oath of office, official oath, I don't know what that says. And I've called these people so many times trying to find out who is this entity that's got this scribbly representation here on this line. No one's been able to tell me. So how do we know Robert D. Dial didn't do that? I don't know. But I called various places. Hey, call this place, call that place, call the governor's office. I called many places. Ain't nobody telling me, nobody is saying who this person is and by what authority they've administered this oath to Robert D. Dial. Now, we see Robert D. Dial on the line with a period. We see Robert D. Dial on the line with a period on his oath. Here's his bond. There's no period on that D. This is a colorable alteration. They don't teach us this in school, Mabo, because if they did, then they wouldn't be able to scam us into, letting them leech off of our life energy, our financial resources, so they can have those bank accounts with, 3 rows of zeros after 900. Oh, but look now. Look now. Robert D. Dial, no period on the line, but then there's a period on the signature, which again is cursive and is void. And so is Paul T. Bruflat. Remember, abbreviations are subject to interpretation. Now here's the oath of Travis Babcock. Robert Travis Babcock, who's the sheriff of Young County, Texas. Now this is where it gets real dicey, y'all. Real dicey. Robert Travis Babcock, all caps. Robert Travis Babcock, italicized, but he signs it Travis Babcock. With Travis Babcock, well, I'm sorry, he signed it in some scribbly crap that I can't tell what it says. I can assume it says Travis Babcock, but yeah, it's a stretch. But if it does say Travis Babcock, it doesn't say Robert. There's no R period. He just totally left Robert off. Here's John C. Bullock again showing up, version number 6. Looks like J.C. Buddock, if anything. Now, here's my name. We saw my name earlier, capitalized, capital J, capital E, capital W. Here we have all caps. This is another variation of my name. And then we here have it in all caps and bold. All caps bold and all caps not bold. That's two different things. Okay? Two different things. And now remember we had on the warrant recall, it said cause pound. Now it says cause and they spell out number. This is artistic. This is supposed to be something that could be recognized, but this looks like a C that someone spun around counterclockwise and it's laying on the back of his neck. This is like an Arabic line, like I don't know if it's Kasra, the Dama, which one, I forgot. And then this looks like a little egg looking at two blades of grass. What is this supposed to say? What's that supposed to say? And then we have an all caps name in here. That's not a flesh and blood woman. And remember, 4-corner rule, it's in a box, so it doesn't even count anyway. And then we got cursive-y, scribbly writing, which is void. And this person, we'll find out who this is here. Now, pay close attention, y'all. This is where it gets extra, extra dumb, okay? Because I haven't gone over all the different ways that the state of Texas shows up, okay? And I'll tell you here. My name shows up 13 different ways, okay? Pardon me. That is not for this case. Excuse me. Here we are. My name shows up 3 different ways. We see my name show up 3 different ways. Okay. We had the all caps bold, and the proper case way that it was on the warrant recall. Now, the state of Texas, through my forensics and logging, the state of Texas shows up represented 28 different ways. None of these are the same. None of these are the same. How many different ways can you say Texas? At least 28. The name of the county, Young County, County of Young. Let me show you real quick before I just blab it all. Okay. This is the dude whose name was on this previous page I showed you. This dude is supposed to say John Orr, you know what I'm saying, assumptively. But here we have John Orr being deputized. All caps, John Orr. Okay, let's slide back up. Does that look like an all caps John Orr? It's not. That's different. Okay, that's different. Let's get closer attention. Travis Babcock, not Robert Travis Babcock. His name is not Travis Babcock. Okay, his name is Robert Travis Babcock. He must not like Robert. Or is this just how he avoids taking responsibility and holding liability? Travis Babcock, now this T towers over this I. So this is a different font size. Travis Babcock Sheriff is a different font size than the I and the of the county. And it says here, County of Young with Young underlined. Now, there's no, this says here, do hereby. There's no period here. We got a capital do, and there's no period. So in the same sentence, we have County of Young, and then we have Young County. County of Young with Young underlined to make a change, and Young County with Young underlined makes a change. County of Young and Young County, that's not the same order of operations. This is fraud, ladies and gentlemen. They're doing this to all of you in different ways. And then we have here Commissioner's Court, capitalized, capital C, with an apostrophe after the S, as though it belongs to the commissioners. That's an ownership apostrophe. Commissioner's Court. Okay? Now, we got County of Young, Young underlined. Young County, Young underlined. And then we go down just to the next part of the page, and we have Young County, where they're both underlined. Okay? So, Young County, Young is underlined. County of Young, Young is underlined. Only Young is underlined. County is not underlined here. But then to create more breaking and continuance of evidence, now we underline both of them. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm introducing you to what I call font forensics. Okay? They are BSing to a major degree. Carol Corbett, all caps. That's not a flesh and blood man or woman's name. And here we are. Now look. Should I assume this says Carol because it says Carol in the box? Because I can call this a capital C, but is this the A? This looks more like a lowercase W with bad symmetry. I don't know what this is. It looks like a half of a lowercase I with no dot, or just like a lowercase W here, which leads over into something that didn't necessarily take proper form, but that's artwork. This looks like a C again, but this is open on the top, so that looks like a U or a V because the O is not open on the top. The O is closed on the top. We can say that's an R. I'm willing to say that's an R, but then we have this with a loop here and a loop there. And is that two E's? Because if it's a capital, if it's a cursive B, a cursive B doesn't have a loop here. It comes up and then it dips down and out. So understand here. Oh, and now look. Check this out. Where we have State of Texas with a lowercase o. And then in the next section on the same page, we have State of Texas with a capital O. That's different. That's not the same. That's different. Okay? So then we come down here, and up top, we see now that Robert Travis Babcock is signing his name as though it's official, Sheriff Travis Babcock. Your name's not Sheriff. And it don't say Sheriff down here. It says Travis Babcock. Then it says Sheriff of Young County, Texas. Now, look what it says for the dude being deputized or oath. I, all caps John Orr, it's not a flesh and blood man or woman, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Deputy Sheriff of the state of Texas. Now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, a sheriff is not the sheriff of a state. And a deputy sure ain't the deputy of a state. So when this dude says that he is deputy sheriff all caps bold, of the state of Texas, that's a lie. That's a lie. You're not the deputy sheriff of any state. That's not how it works. You're a deputy sheriff of a county. Then we have a scribbly signature here. And at no point on this document does this man, who's supposed to be John Orr, at no point do we see his name in the presentation of a flesh and blood man or woman. Travis Babcock, his name is capital T, capital B, lowercase everything else. Why is his name in all caps? Here and here. Sheriff even put sheriff in proper case, capital cursive S. Right? So, and his name is also a T here, capital T, capital B. Everything else is lowercase. How come they didn't do that for this guy? Well, maybe this guy doesn't realize, he may or may not, that this guy is, as the sheriff, he's the head henchman, not letting him know, hey, buddy, when your name's in all caps, it actually means you're dead. It's a dead entity. I'm saying I'm alive. I'm saying you're not. Now go out and do my bidding. And if you die in the field in the line of duty, well, on paper, you were dead already because you used a dead name and you signed your cursive necromantic signature to this document. Meanwhile, I, the sheriff, who owned all the property, and the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge already let that be known. In fact, let me say this. In the description of this video, I put links to at least 20 different videos of Mark's. I also put a link to my Dropbox where you can get access to his gift to us, which is the coroner letters. The county coroner has you, your local county coroner or medical examiner, they have you dead on paper based on that birth certificate. And I just showed you how that works earlier. Okay. You're dead on paper. The Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge gave us a gift of a template letter to personalize and customize for ourselves and registered mail to the county coroner so they can correct that. In my Dropbox, you have access to his training. I did a medical edit of one of the documents and of the trainings because YouTube was hating on sharing it. And I also went and looked up the county coroner information for every county in California, whether it's county coroner or the medical examiner. I put that on each letter with a link on each letter. So whatever county in California you live in, you can open up the Dropbox. You can go watch the training by Mark, who you heard from earlier, Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge. Watch the training, understand how it works, the process, and why. Any county in California, you can click on, find it by the county name, open up the letter. There's even a link in there you can click on and go to the county coroner information page of the county. You can do research, make sure the information's right. Okay? And if you live in Harris County, Texas, down in the Houston area, Dallas County, or Miami-Dade County, Florida, I've also put together your coroner letters for you. So for 50 million or so Americans, I've done the legwork for you. All you have to do is tap in. Okay? Now, let me get back to, I'm still screen sharing, huh? Copy that. So now look at the dates. They even do difference on the dates, okay? So up here, the date is this 4th day of January, AD period, no space in between, 2021. 4th, capital TH, space day, space of, space January, space A period, D period, no space, 2021, and the 2021 is in bold. Next date, this space, 4th, space, day, space of, space, January, space, A period, D period, space, 2021. And here, the 4th is in bold, and there, the 4th is not in bold. They're playing games with you guys, y'all. They're playing games with us. Then come down here. This space, fourth, all caps. I'm sorry, fourth bold, but lowercase th. That's a capital TH. And there is a capital TH on the same document. Capital TH, lowercase th. This one's in bold and that one's in bold. The top one's not in bold. Day space of space, bold January. January is not bold here. January is not bold there. Bold here. Space, A period, D period, space, 2021. Travis Babcock, sheriff. Oh, Travis Babcock, sheriff of Young County, Texas. Do you see how they make sure nothing matches? They're making sure nothing matches. Nothing at all. Got my name here, all caps. Now, county attorney. I can't make a name out of this. Whose name is this? I don't know what name this is because there's nothing in print saying whose name it is. I see K Harden up here. Capital K, capital H. County clerk. Okay, so this guy, Christopher D. Baran, all caps bold, capitalized italics, capitalized cursive. None of that matches. Here's just Chris instead of Christopher. Here's a deputy clerk. Now, Commissioner's Court. Remember earlier we saw Commissioner's Court. Let's go back up to it. This one says all caps Commissioner's Court. No apostrophe. All caps Commissioners, 2 M's, all caps Court, Young County, Texas. Now we came to this document here and we saw Commissioner's Court, capital C, lowercase everything else with an apostrophe on the end. This is a capital C. Everything else is lowercase. So when we come back here to Lydia Saley's oath and see it says Commissioner's Court, all caps, no apostrophe, that's not the same. Now let's check out the next clerk. Next clerk is Christina Moore, who doesn't go by Christina on the phone. It just says County Court, Young County, Texas. Now she is also oath of office for a deputy clerk. Lydia Saley is a deputy clerk. Deputy clerk of the office of Young County Clerk of the state of Texas. That don't even make no sense how they wrote that. Deputy clerk of the office of Young County Clerk of the state of Texas. That's hella dumb. But then this one says deputy clerk of the office of Young County Clerk of the state of Texas. Yes, but the seal is different. County Court, Young County, Texas. Commissioner's Court, Young County, Texas. Y'all both working in the same stupid name position, but the seals are different. Why is that? It's fraud, ladies and gentlemen. Their goal is to make sure nothing matches. Nothing matches. So when I say, when Mark, full-colon Mark, hyphen Keyshawn, full-colon Christopher says, empire of lies, or he says 100% lies, or 300% lies, 300 ain't the word. 300 is lowballing it. I just showed you right here. I just showed you the date here, the date there, and the date here presented differently. I just showed you the sheriff name here, Travis Babcock Sheriff. Travis Babcock, Sheriff of Young County, Texas. That's different. County of Young, Young County. Young's underlined, Young's underlined. They're both different. Young County, both underlined. That's 3 different ways. So far, we got nine lies on this page already. And I didn't even talk about how he signed his name, which is the 10th lie. plus some. Okay. Hopefully this is making sense. Deputation of K. Hardin is deputizing Lydia Saleh. Now look, K. Hardin's name, the court clerk. Now her name is spelled K-A-Y and then H-A-R-D-I-N, capital K, capital H. Why is the person she's deputizing name in all caps? Why is your name not in all caps, but my name is in all caps? I guess Lydia Saleh didn't have a problem with that. Now, K. Hardin's name on the stamp is in all caps K-A-Y, all caps Hardin, county clerk, Young County, Texas. It ain't all caps here. It's not all caps there. Okay? It's all caps here. But Christina Moore's joint, K. Hardin, is not all caps there. Christina's is in all caps below her signature line, her autograph line. How come K's isn't? Guess Christina didn't have a problem with that. Okay, again, clerk name, not capitalized. Deputy name, capitalized. Clerk name, not capitalized. Okay. Now, let me slide on down to where we got the oath of office of the clerk herself. Now, we didn't see K. Hardin, all caps, on a bunch of stuff. We've seen K. Hardin, not all caps, on a bunch of stuff. But for our first time now seeing K. Jennings Hardin, all caps, in bold. That's not her name. But instead of continuing that, beneath her name it says K. J. Hardin, and this time it's in italics. And she autographs it, signatures it, pardon me, K, looks like supposed to be maybe a J, period, and then some scribbly stuff that's not connected right there or there. So, but if it says KJ Hardin, she hasn't signed KJ Hardin on anything else. There's no KJ here. There's no KJ here. There's no KJ here. And the J, remember, as the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge broke down, an initial abbreviation is subject to interpretation. Now we see K. Jennings Hardin here, all caps in bold. How come they didn't put K. Jennings Hardin underneath here? Well, because if we put it here in the way we want it represented, then you think nothing of it. This doesn't say her name all the way spelled out. You don't care. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a world of fraud right here in these court documents. Now, the fact that this stemmed from what's considered a criminal case means that I'm not able to use quantum grammar, which Mark and his team, the Federal Postal Court, they are the keepers of quantum grammar, which is mathematically correct grammar, certified forwards and backwards, like on a live life claim. Okay? If you don't have a live life claim, you need one. I'm not able to use quantum grammar to disqualify these documents. But as you guys see, I can use font forensics and show the variations of the different names and the dates and the seals and the different things that they show. Matter of fact, speaking of that, let's meet John J. Bullock. John C. Bullock. Where you at, John C. Bullock? See, John C. Bullock. Did I not open these things up? I get it. Hide that. I can open it up. I can open that up. Just a moment as I do that. Because I was on a Zoom They had a warrant. I want the warrant recalled. And I'm not all the way versed on how to dead these things from a distance. So let me go ahead and minimize that and open up from Texas court the Bullock Zoom stills. And if they do it what they did earlier, then they'll open all together in one form. And here we go. Now, when I got on the Zoom, let me do this real quick. Let's get a little pep in here. Marvel, can you still hear me good? Let me know, please. Just break up a little monotony there. John Bullock's personal meeting room. Now, haven't we been seeing John C. Bullock on everything? Whether it had a period after the C or not, we saw John C. Bullock on everything. There's no C here. And it says, as you recognize, it's his personal meeting room. This isn't the court meeting room. It's not his professional meeting room. It's his personal meeting room. And then once I got in the room, here it is again. John Bullock. He didn't put a C in here. Here's John Bullock. Thank you very much, Mabo. Here's John Bullock. Now look at the court seal behind him. It says Young County Commissioner's Court. Young County Commissioner's Court. Now, the Commissioner's Court we saw earlier, it didn't say Young County Commissioner's Court. It just said, or it said Commissioner's Court on the top of the seal, and then said Young County, Texas on the bottom of the seal. It says Young County Commissioner's Court here outside of the seal. And on the inside of this seal, it says County Court of Young County, Texas. And there's not even a comma after the county between county and Texas. So this is another seal that ain't one of the seals they're talking about. Then it says In God We Trust with no period. So there's no closure. So it's a 1-2, 1-2 adverb verb scenario. Pure fraud. This is John C. Bullock, ladies and gentlemen. This man is in Graham, Texas, Young County, Texas, frauding people. So I got on the Zoom and I stayed on mute the whole time. I said, I can only communicate in writing. I can only communicate in writing. I don't appear to have any sound. I can only communicate in writing. Please type your words here. I see your lips moving, but I don't have any sound. Please type your words in the chat, please. He shook his head no. Like he wasn't reading the comments. His secretary, his assistant, her name is going to come to me, and I'm going to call it out. Read it and said, hey, he wants you to communicate in writing. He shook his head. I'm not typing anything, he said. And I could hear him the whole time. I said, type your words in, please. He's refusing. So I go all caps. I can only communicate in writing. Hey, Americans with Disabilities Act. If I can only communicate in writing, that's how you got to communicate with me. So he says, are you an iPhone? Find the red microphone and click on it you on a N. Whatever the hell that means. If that ain't babbling, I don't know what is. So I repeated, I'm only able to communicate in writing. Please enable me to record. He says, get off and reconnect. I said, I see you typed a message. Please continue typing. I see your lips moving, but I can't hear you. So then I took my letter to him that I had mailed already, registered mail, and I began to cut and paste into the chat all the different components of this. Let him know he's impersonating an officer. Oh, you know what? Let me go ahead and read this letter to y'all. Let me mute the music. Actually, I guess we can let it play. Here's a letter that I composed, and thanks to Mark for the template style of the entry here with the addresses and whatnot. I put Tartarian. Now, notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. This is activating his agent capacity, but I'm getting at him in his private and public capacity. So John C. Bullock, I didn't all caps it because I'm not talking to a corporation. I'm talking to the flesh and blood guy. In your private and public capacity, I, Jonathan Edward Weaver, I all caps that, like I did up there. Mark says we did that thing first, and now he's talking to the flesh and blood guy here with the hyphenated name. Living man in full life with sound mind, and I'm going to change this moving forward and put compos mentis. Body, soul, and spirit, non-adverse, non-belligerent, non-combatant, secured creditor, underwriter for, and sole beneficiary of the artificial person, my all caps name, et al., which means all variations of it, ens legis, it's a legal entity, write to you this affidavit of special appearance of estoppel with full power of attorney, and I am not a pro se litigant. Thanks to Mark Keyshawn Christopher for this opening paragraph. I only added this little piece here. This comes from the coroner letter. Then I pick up and go into action. I've syntaxed your oath and bond with my font forensics, and I've proven with evidence beyond the shadow of a doubt that you, John C. Bullock, are acting in the capacity of a judge with a fraudulent oath of office and a fraudulent bond. Therefore, you are impersonating an officer, rendering your colorable judge title a criminal offense, a nullity, void ab initio. Time we got. Because I ain't going to miss Mark. Okay. I have also syntaxed. Ooh, did I do that? I did do that. That's supposed to be a 3, and so forth and so on. I made a boo-boo there. I just see. No problem. I have also syntaxed the oaths authorizing documents of every clerk, sheriff, deputy, commissioner, justice of the peace, jailer, etc., who is connected to my case. And I've also proven the fraud in each of their documents as well, proving with evidence beyond the shadow of a doubt that none of the persons working with you are doing so in a qualified capacity, but under fraudulent, colorable titles, making your fictitious court a criminal enterprise. Jesus is a false name. Mark will break that down, but we'll get into that later. Enclosed with this letter are syntax document copies regarding you, each of your co-conspirators, with more to follow, which is my documented and recorded proof of work evidence, which I'm also sending to the Federal Postal Court, so you can each be brought up on legitimate charges with each of your signatures on your documents, respectively, as signed confessions to fraud, treason, perjury, and a host of other crimes, most of which are outlined in the copies of the U.S. Code I've enclosed with this letter. Did I pull those up? Let me see. Hella codes. Yep. Geometry level field. Thanks to Mark Keyshawn Christopher. Affidavit of special appearance and notice of estoppel, and to all Commonwealth of Texas statutes where no general law affecting private rights shall be varied in any case by special legislation, except with free consent in writing of all people to be affected thereby, and to intervene with an injunction for the names Jonathan Edward Weaver, ens legis, and all derivatives thereof. As your judge status is null and void, a nullity, and as you're operating under a colorable fraudulent oath of office, any act on your behalf to issue any warrants against any derivative of my name, or any further pursuit by you of this fraudulent case charged against me, or any further attempts whatsoever by you to disable me in any way as a man on a geometry level field will be considered your confession to treason, which is a hangable offense, and further justification for your imprisonment at minimum, which I'm pursuing to the fullest extent of the law. As I'm a man and a live life claimant, as I am the only man with correct standing in this matter, and as you are acting in the capacity of a fiduciary without the substance, by my autograph and witnesses below, I hereby instruct you, John C. Bullock, to dismiss this case, being cause number 39877, in the interest of justice, and I further instruct you to send me written proof under the penalty of perjury within 3 business days of you receiving this letter, showing me that you are complicit with my instructions. Failure by you, John C. Bullock, to answer these claims within 3 business days of you receiving this letter, to acknowledge this letter in compliance with my instructions, shall constitute full legal/lawful accord and satisfaction. I look forward to your correspondence back by postal mail and by electronic mail under the penalty of perjury, since he corresponded with me by email. And that last paragraph also care of Mark Keyshawn Christopher. For it on behalf of my all caps name, I autographed that. Got a couple witnesses. CC to these places: Security Exchange Commission, TransUnion, a number of places. Internal Revenue Service, California Secretary of State. Well, yeah. So anyway, American Bar Association, places I could think of. So I sent that letter. Now, Mabo, you hear me? So let's go over some of the United States codes that these people. Oh, before we do that, I got to show you guys the mayor of Richmond, California, Tom Butt. Tom Butt has a signature here. I don't see a Tom in there. I don't see a Butt in there. What I also don't see is an autograph. I see some scribbly artwork that don't look like anything. I don't see a B. I don't see a T. I don't see a O. I don't see an M, a B, a U, a T, or a T. Tom Butt, your oath of allegiance. Oh, this isn't even an oath of office. This isn't an oath of office. This is an oath of allegiance. Now, he may have an oath of office, but this ain't it. Okay? And this oath of allegiance is completely invalid. Oath of allegiance to the United States of America and the state of California. Now, but here's the thing, though. Oath of allegiance to the United States of America. Here's the tricky part. I, Tom Butt, he says, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of California. Now, I don't see United States of America in here under this Constitution he's talking about. I just see United States. And we can assume they're the same. They're not. State of California also is all caps up here. Down here is not. So, and again, they repeated Constitution of the United States, Constitution of the United States. They could have said America after one of them. Nope. Void and fraud. And then we have Eduardo Martinez, who is the he's on city council. Well, scribble, you see it. And close that. And there's somebody whose stuff I want to show you. Now, here we are, back in California. Okay, and what time is it? Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to show you this guy first, but he's not really who I care about, but it's also fraud. So this is J.E. Canciamia. He is the county clerk recorder at this time, December 4th, 2014. But he has a cursive scribbly signature, which is void. And then here we have someone who is the signature of the person administrating the oath. We got a scribbly name here, a scribbly name. We don't have a print name anywhere showing who that is. Who is this? Did he scribble that and just use his good writing for his signature? Use some scribbly writing for that? We don't know. It doesn't say here. That's void, okay? And then how do you, on the document that you're getting basically inducted into office with, how do you put the stamp on your own stuff? You can't give yourself a stamp of approval. That's void, okay? I'm calling BS on that. Out of here. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Diana Becton's oath of office. Diana Becton is the district attorney for Contra Costa County. Okay. Now, let me see if I got anything else for her real quick. I do. Let's see if I opened it real quick. Of course I do. Forget about all the numbers and things you see here. I syntaxed this with quantum grammar before I realized or knew that we cannot use this for criminal cases. However, I had already signed a diversion document with the court, and when I went to the window to get a fresh set of these, they said, hey, when you sign that thing, you got sentenced, and we shredded the original. Okay, so I do not want you to pay any attention right now to any of these numbers here around the words. Okay, that is not valid based on this particular situation. What is valid is how Diana Becton's name appears here, capitalized, but it's in italics on the front page. Okay, then we come back, and then on the back page, it's not in italics. It's just capitalized in regular print. Someone's got a scribbly signature here, which is invalid. And then on the complaint, people of the state of California, remember the four corner rule box, there's nothing in this box, okay, validly. But then we see her name in all caps. That's 3 different variations. Well, which one is it? And who are you? And then look at this. The people of the state of California on this page, but then it just says people here. Now look, here's the real tricky part here. As they breaking down, now this is a traffic, I should have got a traffic ticket for this situation, if anything, but this cop wanted to make my life difficult and decided to write me up on some charges. But notice, in the box, they got my name in all caps. Then they AKA'd me with a cursive first name, not cursive middle name. And then they got my name not in all caps here. It's just capitalized. But then they put it in all caps here in the next paragraph. And then if you go up, it's capitalized again. And then here it's all caps. And then you go down and it's capitalized again. And then it's in all caps again. Okay? What are they doing? They're playing games. They're playing games. And then look at this letter. It says the people of the Star of California. Where the hell is that? Who the hell is that? Not the people of the state of California, the people of the Star of California. This comes from Kate Beaker, clerk of the court. Okay? Capitalized Kate Beaker. Okay? Now they call me Mr. Weaver. That ain't my name. Jonathan Weaver. That's also not my full legal name. The docket number is supposed to have a 0 in front of it. They didn't put it though. And here you're going to see it. There it is. Docket number has a 0 in front of it. Now, but let's go back to Diana Becton's oath of office, okay? Because what you're going to see here is the trickiest sleight of hand that will forever keep her from holding liability for the fraud she's committing if we don't see it. Look at her name. Now, this is supposed to be a D. We can assume that, but it's closed. It's open at the bottom. A D is not open. It's a closed letter, right? So if you want to assume that's a D, we could. Here's what looks like it should be an I, but there's no dot over the top, which means this is looking like a capital I. Here's what's supposed to be an A, looks like, but it's open at the top. The letter A is not open at the top. And this is cursively connected to this letter, which we could assume this is an A and an N, but this kind of looks like a open little W right there to me, with an N connected to the back. Wherever this dot goes, does it go over this? If it's supposed to go over here, that ain't right. And then here's a disconnected letter A, or something to the effect of, that's open on the top. Now here's a tricky part, okay? Even though we got a name here that's got a capital, it's got individualized letter segments in the front and one in the back, but it's connected with cursive in the middle. Here's the trickiest play of them all, okay? And this is going to keep her from her name being interpreted anywhere in the public as being congruent with anything. We have what appears to be a capital B, okay? We have a lowercase e, a lowercase c, a lowercase t connected to an O, which we'll call a lowercase o, and at the end, there's a capital N. A capital N at the end of her name. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we are all being duped by people who are using fraud in various ways to get over. Look at this name. If she doesn't ever want her name in the public to be what it is on her oath, it never has to be. Because on her oath of office, she chose to make her last name start with a capital letter, end with a capital letter, and have lowercase letters in between. So as long as I don't do this on a public sign, or on my website, or on my business card, or on the door at my office, or any installation of an office, you can never say that, hey, this woman has an oath of office and she violated. Because she doesn't. This is not valid. And then to top it all off, she went ahead and signed it with a scribbly signature. Where's the D at? Is that a lowercase d? Or does it go like this? And then this looks more like an H right here. And then that could be an A. And whatever's happening there. And then this looks like a heart tilted to the side. But a B this ain't what a B look like. And that's an E. And that's an E. That looks like a T. We could call that an O if you want to. Listen, y'all. These people are playing mad games. And then check this out. Scribbly signature by this woman. Well, that's not a woman's name. But Bobby J. Mahler. Now, look, her name's in all caps. Her name's not in all caps. Bobby J. Mahler is not only a notary, but she's her executive assistant. So she has somebody with a notary stamp who's able to notarize her fraudulent documents sitting right there in the office with her. And look what she did right here for her title, District Attorney. District is capitalized, unless that dot goes for this I here. But this I don't have a dot. District is capitalized for the most part. District looks like it's mostly all caps. Attorney just has a capital A. The rest is lowercase with some cursive at the end. Okay? So listen, y'all. We're getting got over on globally. This ain't just Contra Costa County. This is not just Graham County, Texas, or Young County, Texas, and Graham. All right? This is a global phenomenon. And right now, we have the opportunity to put these people in prison and take our crowns back from the bar, the barristers, the judges and the attorneys who own everything on paper, and the sheriffs. And the sheriff in this county is also the coroner. He's also an attorney. And obviously, he's also with the ship. So we got 5 minutes. I'm about to get on this Zoom and listen to what the Chief-Federal-Postal-Court-Judge has to say. Third installation, if I recall correctly, we'll save that. If I recall correctly, of his means to save ourselves, what Independence Day really means. Some things I didn't get to, y'all, but I'll keep that lit for next time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you one thing real quick. On the internet page. Stanford University Archives, exhibits.stanford.edu. Okay? This is the land that we're part of North America, prior to the U.S. corporation taking it over. Okay, this is on archive at Stanford University. And below this map, on their website, Stanford Libraries, we got more details in there. We'll get to that, okay? Real quick. You see here that this name, IESU, that don't say Jesus. That's not what that says. But the J is an imitation of the I with a tail on it called a swash. This is a U, which is why a W looks like two of these, not the rounded U that we see these days. And they put an S on the end, Isus Christi. From what I've learned in research, Isus means Hail Zeus, a false deity. But notice how this man, who's probably going to say he's from Europa, and his Albion sisters back here are looking up at this fictitious figure. Meanwhile, they're taking a crown off the head of a dark-skinned man with an afro. He's not wearing slave gear, folks. He's wearing tribal chieftain attire. He is the ruler of this land, which actually shows California as an island. INS, which is Insula Island of California. See how they did that? So he came over here with his fictitious deity and used that to subjugate you and take your crown off your head. And if we come below this map and see that Heinrich Scherer, who lived from 1628 to 1704, or Scherer Heinrich, I should say, made this map. And let's go down further and find out more about him, where it says here, his name is really, the author is P. Henrico Scherer. So he ain't using his real name either as it comes to publishing this map, who's part of the Societas Jesu, or the Jesus Society. Ladies and gentlemen, whether it's the barristers, whether it's the Jesuits, the Franciscans, the judges, attorneys, the mayors, the governors. I tried to get Gavin Newsom's bond, his oath of office. They're not giving it up. I tried to find Diana Beckton's oath of office. They're not giving it up. She probably has a middle initial or middle name she doesn't want us to know, so that none of her stuff matches. Or maybe she doesn't, which is why she just made the capital B at the front and the capital N at the end to make the variation of a name that only has two names. I don't know. I haven't seen it. What I can tell you is, after doing font forensics and seeing what's really going on, we are being lied to. Now I have to go because the man with the bigger message, I'm just sharing to help you understand that what he's talking about when he says it's a mirror world. And to prove that, I got more stuff. I'll do another video later. But Mark Keyshawn Christopher, MARK hyphen full colon, MARK hyphen KISHON full colon Christopher, CHRISTOPHER. YouTube, listen to him now and subscribe, because when he speaks, I promise you want to hear what he's talking about. He's trying to help the planet, people around the planet, empower themselves to save themselves. Okay, so let me get out a screen share. Cancel. Stop screen share. Look, y'all. Peace and love. I got the phone over here reading. Peace and love. Respect to everybody. If you think something is real in your head, listen. Get out of your head. Do research. Okay? Don't be willing to be wrong. If you're willing to be wrong, you can find the truth. If you're not willing to be wrong and you only want to rock with what's in your head already, the truth will continue to perpetually elude you. And sorry to use negative words in that, but I'm just sharing the BS, so you ain't got to step in it. All right, peace and love, y'all. I'm finna end this thing. Didn't mean to go 3 hours, but for he who has ears to hear and she who has eyes to see, let them hear, let them see. I'm out of here. Peace and love. Full colon Jonathan Edward full colon Weaver, aka Jakir Fortis Bey, aka Jakir East Bay. I'm out. Jupiter has ascended. It's ascending. Watch the movie. Watch Soylent Green. Listen to the message. The news, they're BSing you. The messages in the movies. Okay? Peace and love, y'all.